G'day guys and welcome to another tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how I made this little scene over here, and it's just a cute little marshmallow guy, and you can see it's a basic scene, very basic rudimentary shapes going on here. And I think this is a very good beginner's tutorial. We're going to be making it in Blender 2.8 using Eevee, the Eevee renderer that's now incorporated in Blender. And you should probably have a basic understanding of Blender to be able to follow this tutorial, but other than that, it's a pretty straightforward, pretty basic, so let's get right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy. Okay, so with a brand new scene opened up in Blender 2.8, we're going to do the thing we always do, and just press A to select everything, and then X and delete. And I'm also going to go and just enable my screencast keys for you guys. There you go, down here in the corner. So we have a fresh empty scene, and the nice thing about this tutorial is we're going to be dealing with very primitive and rudimentary shapes, essentially just cylinders and spheres. So it's a very good beginner's tutorial, so like I said earlier. So we're going to go Shift A, and we're going to go to our mesh up here, and the thing we're going to get is a cylinder. So we can see here in the middle of our scene, a cylinder is placed, and we want to go down to here in the left bottom corner. Click on Add Cylinder there, and we can see here our settings here. Now our vertices at the moment is set to 32, but we want to go for something that's a bit more practical for us, like 16. So just type in 16, hit enter, and then we can click here and close that. So go to our front orthographic view, and then hit tab to go into edit view, or in 2.8 you can also go up here and just go to edit manually, but just to be efficient we'll hit tab. And when you see we go into here, everything is selected by default, but if it isn't, for example, let's say it isn't, all you have to do is just hit A and it'll select all the vertices, just like we do in our viewport with objects. So with everything selected, we're going to hit G, Z, and holding in control while we move up our mouse, it'll grid snap. So it'll move it till it snaps to that red line, let go, and then let go. Just left click. Now what we're going to do is hit Z, and then go over to wireframe, and then Alt A to deselect everything, and then B, left click, and we're just going to select these top vertices, and G, Z, move them up. And we can also snap them to the grid if we want, but it doesn't have to be that precise. I'm going to take them to about the over here, like halfway to in between this grid here, this grid square. Just like that. That's about the right height. And then we're going to go back into our solid, Alt A to deselect. And now we can add some loop cuts, and this is quite easy. All we have to do is go Control R, add a loop cut in the middle, and then roll our middle mouse wheel to add more cuts. So now it's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I think we can even maybe do 7 cuts. Now let's just make it 8 cuts, like that. And then front orthographic view, Alt A to deselect those, and then we're going to go Shift Alt to Shift Alt to loop select this top vertex here, and Shift Alt to loop select the bottom loop vertices here. And then we're going to go Control B, and we're just going to pull back on our mouse like this, and then roll the middle mouse wheel just 2 times, and that's going to create this nice little bevel. In fact, just undo that, just do it about this much. Whatever looks right to you. You don't want to over bevel it, because you want it to look like a marshmallow. If you make it too round, it doesn't look quite marshmallowy, so something like that is fine. And that's pretty much our character modeling done, believe it or not. And then we can simply go to our modifiers panel here. So click on the modifier panel. Then we go and we click on our modifiers tab here, and we go down and we give this a subdivision surface. Then we're going to go to object, and we're just going to go down to smooth shading. And now we have a nice smooth shading on our object. And we can pretty much now go on to adding materials. So to add a material, we're going to go to our materials tab here. We're going to click on new, and we're going to go down to viewport display. And for now, we're just going to give it like a light kind of pink color, like so. Then add another material, new. And in the viewport, we can just leave this one white like that for now. And if we tab into edit mode, all we have to do now is go to our face select mode here. And then with Shift Alt, we can loop select these loops here. Okay, just these guys here. Oops. Just like that. and then give them this second material we made, like so. And we can also select this face down here and just go ES to extrude it in, and then just give it the bottom material, like so. And the same with the one here at the top, just ES to extrude it in, and then give it the bottom material. So we just get rid of that funny shading at the top. So that is essentially our marshmallow character, the body with the modifiers and materials done. And then simply to make the eyes, all we have to do is go Shift A, and you've guessed it, we're going to be using a UV sphere. And with that selected still, we're going to go to Object, Smooth Shading, and then G, move it to the side. So, hit S to scale it in. And with materials, go to our viewport settings, just make it black, like so. Oops, just a nice black color, like so. And then move it forward, like so. Go to your right side and move it forward. Go to the front orthographic view again, and then we're just going to add a mirror modifier. So go to our modifiers, add a mirror, and then under the little mirror object, we're going to hit the little eyedropper, and we're going to select our character here. And there we have these two little eyes mirrored. So if we move one on the left, on the right side here, it's going to update on the left. So going to the top orthographic view, we can also move the eyes in a bit until they get to a place where they make sense. Now, one thing that's a nice little thing that'll help is if you select your character, you go into wireframe and you enable vertices select. You can box select these vertices at the front, enable your proportional editing, so enable it, and then at the front here go G, Y, and move the vertices along the Y. And if you scroll your mouse, your middle mouse, you can affect the amount of fall off. So what we're going to do is just bring this in just a little bit to flatten that front. And what that does, it just gives it a bit more of a, it just helps a bit with the face. So if we come here, move the eyes in a bit, like that, and just make your character look as cute as you can. I mean, the thing about a marshmallow character is they really work as a cute character. And I think this looks just adorable. So I'm going to go with this at the moment. And you can also come in here and if you're not going to rig it, you can just do the same thing. Grab little vertices here and just, you know, pull them down. Just give it, make it look like it's got a bit of imperfection to it, you know. So this is something you can completely just edit on your own time and add little indents like that. It just makes it look a little bit more organic, and instead of just like a perfect cylinder. And once again, if you're going to rig this, you could do that with your rigging. Like, for example, I did that with my original character. I put a rig in here, but that's a little bit overkill for this tutorial. So for now, we have a nice little character. And what I'm going to do is grab these eyes. I'm going to apply the mirror modifier. I'm going to, with the eyes selected, hold in Shift, select the body, and then go Control J. And now it's joined to the body. So this is now one object. Awesome. Now all we have to simply do is add a backdrop and add our camera, set up some depth of field, put some lighting in, and refine our materials a little bit, and we can do a render. So that's what we're going to be doing now. So pop into front orthographic, and we're going to go and add a plane. So now once you've added your plane, we can go S and just scale it up. So S and scale it. I'm going to scale it to something like that. And then we're going to tab into edit mode, grab these two back vertices, and then just go E, Z, and extrude it up. As much as you want. In fact, I'm going to take it to here. And then G, Y, and move it back a bit. And then I can grab these two vertices here, and just go Control B, and move my mouse, and rolling the middle mouse wheel, we can add more loops. I'm just going to go for something like that. Select these two, G, move it back a bit, and we're just creating a simple backdrop. And then we're going to go to Object, and we're going to enable Smooth Shading. And we can also just go S, X to scale on the X a little bit. And we've just created a simple little drop-off, like so. And then what we can do is grab our drop-off, or our backdrop, sorry, go to our material settings here, and we're going to go to New, and we're going to add, just make the viewport material a blue, like a really light blue. We're dealing with really nice soft colors, not something that's too saturated, because it doesn't work well with this. It just visually is more pleasing to use less saturated colors. So that's why we're going light. And then at the front here, just go Shift A, and then we go down to a camera, and we go hit 0 on our number pad, and then G, middle mouse wheel, and click and pull back, and we're just going to pull our camera back until we get something we like. And then you can hit G and just move your camera till you find something you like. And in our camera settings here, if we go to camera settings, the focal length is set to 50. We're going to go and make it 85, like this. So quite a bit higher. And then just G, middle mouse, and pull back. And I'm going to go for something about this distance. And then with my cursor still in the center, making sure. So Shift S, cursor to world origin. And I go to my my 3D pivot here, and I just make it 3D cursor. And if I go with my camera selected, I go R, Z, it's going to rotate around that point. So I'm going to go for something like this, and then I'm just going to just double tap R, and I can move my camera around. And I'm going to go for more of a low angle, like I did with my original scene. Something like this. And it's just one of those things, you know, I'm not giving exact measurements because it's part of the creativity. You guys can like find something that you like, but I'm going to go with something like this. I think it's quite cute. And then I'm going to grab my little guy here, and I'm going to disable the proportional fall off here. So I'm just going to make it, not proportional, sorry, the 3D cursor. I'm just going to make it median point again. So if I grab my little guy here and I just rotate him, I make him look towards the camera a little bit, like so. And that's quite cute. And what we can do is even come into edit mode here, go into wireframe, and then just hit C to select and roll our middle mouse wheel. And then we can take the selection tool and just go across here like so. And then we're just going to go make sure our proportional editing is still enabled. It is. And then just go R in the viewport here and move the little guy like so. And then R, Z, and just give this a shot. Just make him look a little bit more like he's in a pose. Like that. And that is just absolutely cute. In fact, we can go to the side if that's still selected and just tilt his head forward a little bit, like so. And wireframe. So this is just one of those things where you come in and you give him a bit of a pose. It's self-explanatory pretty much. So I'm just going to tilt the head forward a little bit, like so. And then go into back into solid view. And that is just looking absolutely cute. So I'm going to go with this. Maybe just move him down just a little bit. And that's it. That is looking absolutely amazing. Then I'm going to go to my top orthographic. I'm going to grab this guy, Shift D, and I'm going to move another one back here. Go to my camera view. And then move this one along the X. And maybe move him back a little bit more. And this is just going to, you know, he's going to be out of focus. It just adds a nice little effect to the back. So there we go. So we have this guy, and we can take him and we could rotate him like this, and maybe go into here and give him a bit of a different pose. And like I said, I'm going a little bit fast here, but this is just something you can like do in your own time. I'm just kind of showing you some basics here, and his eyes look a little bit different there, but that's okay. Gives him a bit of character. So, yep, there he is. Maybe rotate him like this a bit. And he's going to be out of focus anyway, so you're not going to be able to see him in too much detail. Then what we're going to do is grab our camera here, and we're going to go to our Eevee camera settings here, and we're going to go to depth of field. We're going to go to focus distance. Not focus distance. Where was those settings again? Okay, so just give me a second to go over it. Okay, so what we want to do is under our viewport display, we want to enable limits. So click on the little limits tab. And now if you go up to your aperture here and you go, I'm sorry, not your aperture, your depth of field here. If you go to focus distance and you pull this slider, you can see that little X there. That little cross is moving closer to our character. So we want this hovering just in front of the face of our character. Okay, just like that. So for me, that's about at 14, but it might be a bit different for you. And then the type we want is f-stop. So we can mess around with this setting in a little bit, but I'm going to drag it very low. So that's going to give the background quite a blur. So I'm going to make it something like 0.8. So if we go into our viewport settings here, we're not seeing anything now because we have to actually enable some of the stuff in our Eevee settings. So what we're going to do is go to our render settings here, and we're going to enable something like, let me think, I think we need our ambient occlusion. We're going to use subsurface scattering, screen space reflection, and we're also going to go and enable depth of field. So if we go to our Z, if we hit Z and we go to rendered, we should be able to see our Eevee effect applied, and it's actually working right now, but because we don't have any lighting in the scene, it's not visible to us. So what we're going to do is just go back into solid view. In our front orthographic view, or just our front view, you can go Shift A and we can add a light. So we're going to add a sun. I'm going to come here, G, move it up here, and then R to rotate it. Just going to give it a bit of a rotate like this. And from the top, rotate it towards the character like this. And we're going to go to our lamp settings and just give it a strength of 5. So we go to our camera settings now and we go rendered. We're going to see we have some lighting in our scene. It's looking quite nice. In fact, I might increase the strength to 7. And then we can start working with our materials a little bit here. And this is the fun part. So I'm going to select our little marshmallow guy. I'm going to go to our shading and go into our camera view here. And now we can work with our material. So like I said, we're not dealing with saturated colors. So let's go to our top material, and we're going to make this one a slight little pink color. Slightly pink like so. Grab our second material, and we're going to make this just almost white, but slightly pink. And then our last material was our eye that we made, and we that was kind of like black. But we don't want to make it... Okay, we'll make it solid black. And then in our material settings here, under the eye material, let's just name this eye, we can go and turn the roughness all the way down to make this nice and shiny and reflective. And that just makes our character look more alive, and it just works really well. So solid black, and take the roughness all the way down. And with these two materials, there's not really much we have to do. We can just leave them as is. So then we can grab our background, click on that, and this is our backdrop. And we're going to give this a light blue color, so lightly saturated blue color, like so. And voila, there we have our scene. And we can see our little guy at the back here is out of focus, but I want him a bit more out of focus. So select our camera, go to our camera settings over here, and under viewport display, where were we again? Where are the settings? So under depth of field, we'll make the f-stop 0.1. Okay, so let's make it 0.3. Okay, 0.3 works fine. So there we have our scene in real time. We have this beautiful, quick little scene we made. It's so fun. And all we have to do now is essentially go to render and render image. And because it's Eevee, it's going to render real quick. But there we have this nice little scene. Now, obviously there are some, we can refine the lighting a little bit more and tweak things, but this is just to show you how I kind of approach the scene, and you can make it a lot nicer. In fact, one of the things we can do is go to our Eevee settings here, our render settings, and we can increase the samples. So let's make them 128 samples. We can also, under our ambient occlusion, we can work with the distance a little bit here. We can also go to our surface and our subsurface scattering, and there isn't any subsurface scattering at the moment, so we might just turn that off actually. Actually, just turn it on. Just leave it at 7. World reflections, you can just work with these settings, and to be honest with you, I don't really know yet what all of these settings do exactly. All I know is that usually when I make a scene, I just kind of work with these settings until I see the noisiness or the graininess looks kind of okay. So that's kind of what you guys kind of have to do at the moment, but that's how you learn a new software. And I know this is still Blender, but it's quite different than Blender 2.79. So this is kind of just a quick little project you can make in Blender 2.8. And I really hope you guys liked this and that you enjoyed it. And if you did, hit the like button below. It really you know, if you have any questions, ask them below, and I'll try and help if I can. So thank you for watching.